This is ODME channel.
Renounce everything, go to the jungle, try to sit in meditation. But without understanding the mind, when this mind starts creating problems or is in some problem, that time if we do not understand the mind, then as our mind, so we are in that situation. We collapse. See what happened to Arjuna. He didn't know how at that moment to control the confusion of his mind. He just collapsed. He didn't know what to do. At that moment when the mind becomes so full of sorrow, the mind becomes confused, the mind wants something else. At the same time it tells you to do something else. In all that confusion, very often our productivity is gone. And even as a spiritual student, people do various sadhanas, even such difficult tapas, austerities, etc. And I said, give up everything also. But still this mind has its own game to play. So we have to understand what is this mind. In the evening, we will be seeing it in detail. Both are complementing each other. Each is a complete topic, but if you combine both of them, our knowledge of the mind will be so vast that honestly we will not need a psychologist. But if you do have a problem, no harm in finding one. But modern psychology also deals with thoughts, but to get to the source of the mind, to understand what constitutes the mind, to understand that how we can make this mind our friend to keep us happy, peaceful. Because even Arjuna has a doubt that Chanchalami Mana Krishna, that, hey Krishna, this mind is by nature chanchal only. It's always on the move. Pramati. Powerful, bala it has. Dridam, firm it is. I don't see that it is possible even to control this mind, because by nature only it is constantly on a move. But Krishna says it is difficult, but it is not impossible. What our rishis must have understood about the mind. First and foremost, when we observe the mind, we know that mind is made up of thoughts, vrittis. And the very word vritti means that which constantly is modifying, changing. That is called as vritti, thought. In English we just say thought, but we never give a thought to a thought. What is a thought? That which comes, which goes, which is constantly changing. Now, these constantly appearing, disappearing thoughts, this constantly changing thoughts, it is not that a thought or a pool of thoughts constitutes the mind. Mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. Just like a river is not just a pool of thoughts, it is a constant flow of thoughts. See, if we don't understand this, people are struggling in meditation. And they say, my thoughts don't stop. If your thought stops, your mind stops. So what is this mind? If we say that we have to stop the mind, mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. Where there are no flow of thoughts, you call it a fixated mind. And thank God the mind flows. Otherwise, we hear, I don't know whether you have ever tried it. I hope you have not. And if you have tried, don't try it again. People eat bhang, with the excuse of Shivji. And if they start laughing, they'll keep on laughing. If they cry, they keep on crying. Thank God our mind is constantly changing and it is dynamic. Others will be sitting here and then you'll be sitting here only. And everybody leave from the hall. Mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. Thus, mind is made up of thoughts, but thoughts which are constantly moving. Now, what is the cause of these thoughts first? What is the material cause of it? In the evening, Bhagwan has said about the entire cosmos that Prakriti or Mahat Brahma is the yoni. All modifications and changes are seen in Prakriti, in matter. Matter has got all the qualities. But I, the consciousness, vitalizes it with my seed. Seed means, we have seen, it's in our language of human beings, but to point out that I, the consciousness, enlivens it, vitalizes it, gives it life. The same thing now understand about your mind also. Those of you who have studied Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, Viveka Chudamani, you will understand that the mind is made up of the subtle part of all the 5 elements. The 5 elements being space, air, fire, water and earth. Now you will say, how can we say that the mind is made up of matter? In Chandogya Upanishad, an experiment is given. When the Guru is pointing out to his student, his own son, that this mind is made up of matter, but this mind which is so vital, we can't understand how it is made up of matter. So he says the food that you eat goes to make the mind. What the matter of the mind? So he tells his disciple that if you want to be sure of it, and a student who wants to know the truth must either be convinced through the words of the scripture by thinking and understanding, or we must experiment with it. If we have a doubt, we must experiment with it. But we can see in our life that when for a long time you don't eat food, you cannot think clearly, is it not? See, Parikshit Maharaj also, in Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, such a noble king, when he was full of hunger, he started getting restless. We all get restless. But after some time, you don't have any physical energy, but you also don't have any mental energy. And Swetaketu fasted for 21 days because he was quite a skeptic youngster. He fasted for 21 days. And soon he comes to say, I've forgotten all my Ved mantras. I don't remember anything. I cannot think. I've lost everything. Don't worry, in 21 days you're not going to die. We've got enough reserve. The storehouse is very good. But he could not think. Father said, now start eating. All his memory, all his thinking capacity came back. Which means the matter of the mind is made up of the food, means matter only. In matter there is change and modifications. But from where does the mind get its cognition power, its capacity to know? That comes from the conscious Atma. Thus, mind is made up of both these. Matter as well as consciousness. That is what Krishna was saying yesterday evening in the cosmos, but the same thing happens in the mind. When the matter of the mind, now matter is there everywhere. Just as electricity is passing through all the wires here. But it is not that everywhere it manifests as light. Not everywhere it manifests as light. Only where there is an equipment which can transmit, reflect, there is where we find that there is light. Made up of matter, mind is inert. Just as this table is inert, I can hit it, it's not going to hit me back. But if I hit you, what will happen? So, this matter is inert. It neither has got a life, nor can it respond, nor can it feel, nor can it know. It is inert. Now, out of this inert matter only, our mind is made. But my matter also has got two aspects, the gross and the subtle. Take for example, the light which is coming from the bulb is falling on your face and is being reflected on all sides. But on this wall you cannot see your face. But if there was a shining surface, a mirror, you would be able to see the light from your face in the mirror as your reflection. See? So even though right in front of me there is this wall, but I can't see myself in that wall. But in that same space, if there was a mirror, I would be able to see myself. Again, electricity is passing through all these wires in these walls, but you cannot experience it. But when it goes through a bulb, when it passes through a fan, when it goes through the air conditioner, you can see an expression of it. This is how we have to understand that mind is made up of matter. But when consciousness gets reflected in this mind which is subtle, not sthula like the body. Body without the mind in it cannot function. It is sthula. Body cannot directly reflect the consciousness. But mind being subtler, in that consciousness gets reflected and the mind shines as a conscious entity. Therefore, whenever we hear this word Chaitanya, we hear this word Chit, we understand, we use this word consciousness, we mistake it to be the mind, because the mind endowed with consciousness appears as a conscious entity, a conscious mind. And therefore, when the mind is not functioning, we say, I am unconscious. Just as earlier, when the bulb got fused, you'd say electricity is gone. Electricity is not gone. The bulb is no longer able to manifest that electricity. Clear? Therefore, very often we think that when the mind is not functioning as in sleep or under the influence of chloroform, we say the person was unconscious. Person is never unconscious. It is the mind not functioning at that self. So what we see as consciousness, that which we understand as consciousness, is only an expression of consciousness. Just like light, movement is an expression of electricity. Itself is not all the electricity. It is not what electricity is. Electricity expresses through it. But we can not see electricity directly, but from its expressions, we can imagine that through electricity we can get light. Through electricity we can get movement. Through electricity we can get cold. Through electricity we can get heat. So you can imagine what that electricity is. And in case you still don't understand, then we will teach you something called as electricity yoga, where you directly contact electricity. So, mind is made up of matter. Mind is also has in it the reflection of consciousness, and therefore the mind is able to change, which is not there in consciousness. At the same time, the mind is not inert, because it functions with the light of consciousness. Now, consciousness is the same. Yesterday we have seen matter is the same, yet each mind is different from each other. That we will see in details in the evening session. That what is that creates so many different minds? It is the combination of these three gunas: sattva, raja and tama. According to these moods of the mind, these three gunas, properties or moods of the mind, the mind functions differently. In our own day also we see. Like now, morning you've come to listen to the Upanishads. Your mind is quiet, pure. Is it not? And therefore, you can understand this subtle matter. This is called as sattva. Sattva is when your mind is no doubt awake, but it is calm and peaceful. This is called shanta vritti. There are peaceful thoughts in your mind. And tamas has muda vritti, ignorance, laziness, procrastination, sleep, etc. That in detail we will be seeing in the evening class. Now, when the mind is of tamas and dull, less is the beauty, energy, capacity that comes from consciousness seen. But as the mind goes from tamas to rajas to sattva where the mind is calm and peaceful, their consciousness appears in its full brilliance. More details we will see in the evening session. I hope you can attend both, then your knowledge of the mind will be vast. So the differences are because of these three gunas. And these three gunas of prakriti, of matter, are that which creates all the differences and changes, not only in our mind, but how we perceive the world. And therefore this world also seems to be made of these three gunas. And as Krishna points out in the Gita, guna guneshu vartante. Now this is something very interesting you have to understand about the mind. And with this, when you meditate, you know that meditation is possible. And why our mind gets distracted so easily? Mind is made up of matter. Mind is also, in a way, made up of consciousness. How they combine and all, I'll point out to you. But for the time being, mind is made up of matter and consciousness. So, as you know, like gets attracted to like. Since it's got the matter element, it is always getting attracted to matter. Therefore, it should not matter. Matter will get attracted to matter. So mind gets attracted to the objects of the world of matter. But at the same time, mind is also made up of consciousness. Therefore, now and then, it also drifts to something divine, auspicious, consciousness. And therefore, also this aspiration comes in. I want knowledge. I want to know who am I. All these things come about or not? Yeah. Therefore, our mind is like Surpanakha. Now it goes to Ramchandraji and then it runs to fair Lakshman. The world of matter is visible to us, so we quickly run towards the world of matter. Therefore, you have this dichotomy of the mind. Sometimes so good, so loving, so caring, and the other side so selfish, so vicious. Does it happen or not? Most of the time wanting this object, that object, going here, wanting the shopping, this, that. Even if we don't go physically, mentally we are shopping everything. Even in the temple we are only shopping from God. God give me this, God give me this, God give me this. But occasionally we say, Bhagwan, I want to see you also. See how the mind? It is for this reason this tug of war is there in the mind. Therefore, even in a spiritual seeker, in a sadhaka, your mind is trying to turn towards the consciousness, the truth, reality, God, but soon gets gravitated towards the objects. It is for this reason this is happening. Now, each one, like Arjuna, sees that my mind is constantly changing. And you also said, Swamiji, that mind is a continuous flow of thoughts. But what is the nature of the mind? If you say that mind is nature only is chanchalam. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. Is it so? Then there is never a time your mind can become quiet. If mind's nature only is chanchalam. See, nature also is of two types. We call as swabhava and swarupa. The swabhava of the mind is to constantly change because it's made up of matter. But what is its essence? What is its truth? What is its swarupa? Its swarup is actually Shantam, Shivam, Sundaram. Because if that was not its nature, you see, the mind is disturbed, but we always want peace, is it not? Do we want disturbed mind? And this mind is always trying to find peace, no? And in nature, whatever is our swarupa, whatever is our nature, we will naturally gravitate towards it. Therefore, the nature of the mind was only to be agitated, constantly on the move. First of all, we could never quieten the mind, nor would we want also quietening, nor will it be possible. But since this mind can change, we can first of all change it from bad to good, from negative to positive, from inauspicious that give us agitations, thought, sorrow, to auspicious, that which gives us peace and happiness. Because it can change, that is the advantage. But we have to find out that the nature of the mind, the substratum of the mind, the truth of the mind is that which is changeless reality. To explain that, these 6 verses glorify the mind, and it is a prayer and an affirmation that to have in this mind auspicious thoughts, positive thoughts, most of the time, if not all the time, to keep this mind steady in goodness, in auspiciousness, cheerful and happy. At first might be very difficult. Therefore, it is also a prayer in which the mind is described by the Rishi, and the prayer is that let there be auspicious thoughts in my mind. Shiva Sankalpam Astu. Get ready. The Shiva Sankalpam Astu. That let there be auspicious thoughts. So we will now start the first verse, and then we will explain what is Sankalpa, what is Shiva, and what is this capacity of the mind, and what is the nature of the mind. So, I tell you, it's one of the most beautiful texts to understand the mind and what this mind is capable of, and how we bring about continuous everlasting happiness.
Yajjagrato duramudayiti daivam.
Yajjagrato
Tadu suptasya tathaivaiti. Duram gamam jyotisham jyotirekam. Tanme manas Shiva sankalpamastu.
Once more.
Tanme manas Shiva sankalpamastu.
Once more.
Yajjagrato duramudayiti daivam. Tadu suptasya tathaivaiti. Duram gamam jyotisham jyotirekam. Tanme manas Shiva sankalpamastu. Tanme manas Shiva sankalpamastu.
Tatme manaha. In that mind, Shiva Sankalpam Astu. There should be auspicious Sankalpa, auspicious thoughts. Which mind? This is not only telling us about the mind, but for us to recognize directly what this mind is. He says that yat jagrata duram udaiti. That mana which is daivam, yat jagrata duram udaiti. In the waking state goes outward, goes far away. Far away from who? From where I am, who I am, it goes far away. Now, we say, how far this mind can go. One day, a group of mothers were sitting and discussing the problems that they are having with their children. These children and youngsters are always a problem. So they were sitting and discussing, and they were a problem. And they were trying to find out what is the cause of the problem. And all of them were saying that, and every parent, I've also now heard 3-4 generations of people that I have known who were children at some time, they were youngsters at some time, those who were getting married at some time, those who were already married, and our parents, like that 5 generations we have seen, no? And every generation they say, nowadays youngsters, in our time we never did something like, common, huh? Yesterday also somebody played one very sad song, which was 60 years old. And in that also it says, hey Bhagwan, have you seen what has happened to your world? देख तेरे संसार की हालत क्या हो गई भगवान, कितना बदल गया इंसान, no? And everybody thinks that now only people have become really terrible. This is 60, 70 years ago. Same songs people were singing. So they were sitting and discussing that what has happened to our children. And somebody said, this is all because, just like you say nowadays, no? This is all because of these phones. No? When you were growing up, it was all the fault of these movies. When your children were growing up, it was all the fault of television. Now your grandchildren are growing up, it is all the fault of the cell phone. Is it not that we do that? So they were sitting and discussing, and they said all this problem is, nowadays look at our children, how far they go. How far they are going. And this problem is because you've got electricity. Otherwise, so late, so far, how would they go? It's all because of this technology. We never stayed up so late. We never went that far. Meanwhile, there was a grandmother sitting and doing her work or knitting. So they looked at her and said, during your times, you must have not done much. She just replied, we went as far as we could. Yeah? See, it is this mind only that goes through the senses to wherever your eyes can see, your ears can hear, your nose can smell, your tongue, etc. And not only that, with its memory goes even further. With its knowledge, it goes even further. Today your complaint is, no, these children, they're browsing on the net, they're going around the world. Today they know so much, and therefore their mind is so wild because there is so much in their mind, and there is so much that they know and how far they can go. So how far does this mind go? It goes as far as the senses can reach. It goes further than that also. How far it can go into the past. How much it can worry about the distant future. Not only in space, but even in time. How far can this mind go? If you just imagine. And this mind even has the capacity to gather more information, to know more things, and go further and further each time it gets some knowledge. Is it not? See the capacity of the mind. Now, this can be used negatively, this can be used positively. You are sitting here to study, but your mind runs to London and Paris. Yeah? But at the same time, this mind can reach far and distant heights. So it is not that the mind has to be suppressed. know the capacity of the mind. And in such mind, when it is going far in the morning. Now you see, when you wake up in the morning, that time as though your mind is with you. And slowly it goes out of the room to the bathroom. From the bathroom to the children's room. From the children's rooms to the office. Or your mind to the conveyance that is there. It already see how it starts spreading out. And by the middle of the day, it has gone, even though you're sitting in the office or at home, it has gone so far and wide. Which means the reach of this mind is far. And this mind which can go far, and it will go in the world of matter. It has to do a lot of work and it has to go far and wide. But we start our morning with this prayer that this mind which goes so far, let it go with auspicious thoughts. See, even when you start journey in India and somebody cries, "Kya ho jayega?" No, send them off with well-being, good wishes. Anything that starts with a good thought. Even when Hanumanji had to jump 800 miles across the ocean, when Jambavan said, "You can do it," and Hanumanji felt the confidence, he says, "Because I'm feeling a great sense of peace and joy, which means I know I can do it." But you start only by worrying. I don't know whether I can pass this examination. I don't know whether I can convince this banker to give me loan. Right? You start with such doubt. How effective will be your action? Yeah? You come only for this class and say, "You know what? I don't know if I'm going to understand." But you come with the conviction, however subtle this Upanishad may be. And this is called as an Upanishad. I know I'm going to find out what this mind is. How to make good use of this mind. How to have thoughts that will give me peace and happiness. And how do I recognize that truth that is Shiva? Therefore, simple thing is, start your day with auspicious thoughts. Start the day with positive thoughts. If you start it with positive thoughts, it will at least last you throughout the day. Don't start your day by first putting on your mobile phone. Make it a habit nowadays not to do it. I'm not even telling you, I also do it sometimes because work is there so much, no? And my international markets, as you would say, open at different period of times. But early morning, do not first get up and put on your phone. Start your day with first thinking of that which is the most auspicious. Though Shiva here means that which will give you peaceful, pure and happiness. Start thinking about first of Bhagwan, who is all auspiciousness, who is Shiva. Shiva, Krishna, Rama. No? First start with the name of the Lord. Then start with the confidence that I have gratitude, that I have been given life for this day, the most beautiful, precious life. Then let this day be filled with auspicious thoughts, good actions, good achievements, good relationships, and start with such cheerful, happy thoughts. And if we cannot create it, let us pray that that mind which goes far, let it go far. Let it go and achieve great things. But let it go with auspicious thoughts. Let it achieve great and divine things. Tanme mana Shiva Sankalpam Astu. May it think the well-being of everyone. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Like that, with these thoughts, when we start the day, the mind goes. But my mind, if it goes so far away, then it will get lost. Like one doctor had told a patient, Guruji has given that joke. He told the patient that every day you have to walk 1 mile. An elderly man. Suddenly, the family member said, "Where is our father gone?" They went searching for him. They couldn't find him. They asked the doctor, "Where is he gone?" He used to go. He said, the doctor said, "Walk for a mile." So every day he walked for a mile and went on going. Now if the mind just goes far, it might just get lost. But the beauty is, the mind comes back in sleep to rest back into you. This mind that goes far and this mind that comes and rests. When it comes back also, it might come with some disappointments, etc. But at night you pray that this mind which has gone far and now has come back, either with good experiences or even sometimes with troublesome experiences. But let me go to sleep with auspicious thoughts, being grateful for the good things that have happened, forgiving all the wrong that has happened to me or the mistakes that I have done. This is called that this mind, when it goes and it comes back, in that mind, let there be auspicious thoughts. Isn't it beautiful? Even as a simple prayer, how effective it is. Because even what should we pray for? We don't pray to God. We take a shopping list to God. Yeah? It's really very, very beautiful. Therefore, now that you will be going far, tomorrow, come back in time. Don't be late. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari